So I kind of want to take a bird's eye view at this um, view, and I want to sort of get the timing right in my head. So you were saying that Adam and Eve were likely created around the last ice age, correct?
Yes.
So when was that?
Well, the last ice age ended about 14,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago. Some say 12. And it began about 125 to 130,000 years ago. So
Okay.
somewhere between 12 and 130,000 years is the epoch of the last ice age.
And so were you I believe you were also saying that Noah's flood was also during the ice age?
Correct, correct.
Do you have any estimates on how long after Adam and Eve were created?
Well, I've been working on this lately, looking at the scientific literature, because the archaeological artifacts that we recognize are consistent with the first humans. They show up in the Persian Gulf area. They also show up in Eastern Africa.
Hmm.
So I'm arguing that God must have created Adam and Eve sometime close to those epochs where there'd be easy migration between the Persian Gulf and Eastern Africa.
Hmm.
And and we've been able to identify at least four different epochs during the last ice age where easy migration would occur. Matter of fact, I think it's September 27th. I've got an article coming out on a brand new discovery about some rats that they had found in the Negev Desert near the Dead Sea, and they're East African rats.
Hmm.
This is the only place they show up outside of Eastern Africa, but indicates there had to be an easy migration route for those rats to get to that location. And if they got there, it'd be an easy migration route through the Fertile Crescent down into the Persian Gulf.
Hmm.
But there's also three epochs during the last ice age where humans could have walked up the Gihon River, crossed the land bridge from southwestern Arabia into Eastern Africa. And given that that land bridge was intact and the Gihon River was a lush flowing valley, I could easily see humans rapidly migrating back and forth.
Hmm.
So, but that kind of gives you a range of somewhere between 50,000 and 115,000 years ago.
Okay.
So that's still a broad range of dates.
Right.
But we also got DNA evidence that tells us that humans very aggressively colonized and migrated between about 35 and 45,000 years ago.
Hmm.
And so that would mean that Noah's flood likely was just before that event, because you got in Genesis 11, God scattering humanity over the face of the earth, although that would extend at least up until 12,000 years ago, because the Bering Land Bridge was extremely cold 40,000 years ago and didn't really warm up until about 15 to 18,000 years ago. But that's consistent with the arrival of the first humans in South America, North America. And so this period of global migration extended from about 40 to 45,000 years ago until about 15,000 years ago. But Noah's flood would have to predate that. And you mentioned earlier about the long lifespans. As an astronomer, I've done research on the fact that the really fast moving heavy nuclei cosmic rays, we now have evidence that 95% of those rays, and those are the deadly cosmic rays, come from a single supernova eruption event. And we have a date for the eruption event somewhere between 20,000 and 100,000 years ago.
Wow.
And so, and what you see in Genesis chapter 11 is an exponential decline in human lifespans from
Mhm.
950 years down to a maximum of 120. That would be consistent with a radiation event that would exponentially limit human lifespans. And so this supernova may be at least part of the explanation for why humans before the flood were able to live longer than humans after the flood. Because of those cosmic rays, there's no way you're going to make it past about 120 unless you want to spend your entire life in a very deep salt mine.